Welcome to Listen to My Podcast, and we back like we never left. Since we back, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I greatly appreciate the support. Today's episode I'm excited about. Alright? I have a phenomenal shoe customizer on here, artist. He's coming to us from North Carolina. Alright? Some of you may know him by Color Me Fresh. Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Listen, it takes wisdom to grab these sneakers and spin them. Cut a couple of linen and match them up with the denim core. Davidito, he'll cook it up like a kilo and have your Air1s appropriate with the stilo. He's no Lilo, but he's mean with the stitch.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So, for the audience, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from.
Well, my name is Sean. Custom sneaker artist. I currently reside in the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina. I'm originally from California. I've been in and out of art kind of like my whole life, and I started really taking art serious probably 2020 when COVID hit.
Okay. So when did you start art, and when did you get into like doing art, period?
I've been into like art and creative stuff as long as I can remember. I used to do things all the time as a kid, make certain objects, make masks, draw and sketch. I used to watch people draw a lot when I was like in kindergarten and preschool. Art for me kind of took a back seat once I started playing basketball. So then it kind of was like one of those things to where I liked it, but I didn't really do it as much. Basketball had all my attention and focus. Then after basketball was gaming, so art kind of took a back seat for years to the point to where I kind of just stopped doing it altogether.
What would you say made you pick it back up?
I don't. Well, for me, it would be like something would pique my interest, and I would probably do something like paint a canvas, and then I would quit for like another 4 or 5 years. I like other podcasts or people might have heard me say this before. It's like art to me was kind of like that girl in school that liked you, but you didn't like them. Like you was busy trying to go get the one you thought was the popular one or the cheerleader, but the one that liked you, that used to help you with your homework, that was sitting next to you in class. That was kind of like art. And so, like I said, I would like paint a canvas and then not paint for like years. And that was kind of like the cycle when I was around 19, 20. That's the first time I've ever saw somebody customize a shoe. It was a guy, I think, by the name of Soul Junkie. And that's when, you had like sneaker magazines and sneaker pages. And they did like an article on him. And he would paint like Biggie and stuff like that. So that's when I kind of was like, oh, so you can actually paint shoes. Because I always loved sneakers. But I didn't know how to do it because anytime I would use like Apple Barrel paint or anything, it would come off. And so then from that, I found a dude named Jacob Patterson on YouTube. Jacob Patterson, one more again, I think was like his little saying. And he painted like a pair of graduation Air Force Ones and a pair of God of War dunks. So this was like, 2007-ish, 2008-ish maybe.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I found Angelus. And so that was like the first time I've ever customized a shoe. That only lasted probably like 3 or 4 months because, it's still hard to essentially make money here in 2025 painting shoes. So if you can imagine close to 20 years ago, you screamed $200, $300 for some custom painted sneakers. People thought that was like $5,000. And so it was kind of like short lived. I gave up customizing shoes then. And then that was kind of like my really my last attempt at art. And for like 10 years, I didn't touch nothing. I didn't remotely try to paint probably till I was like 29, 30. Sorry about that. And then when COVID hit, I did something like an event for my job at Complex Con. And this was like 2019. So right at the end of 2019. And I was inspired by the art. So I was like, you know what, I might try to paint a pair of shoes. And then all of a sudden 2020 came around with COVID. And, we had nothing but space, time, and opportunity. So yeah, I had no choice, I guess.
Yeah. That's I think you're the only other person that I've heard that mention Jacob Patterson. So I find that one interesting because that's one of the people that I watched,
Mhm.
and like watching him prepping actually was a I'm not gonna lie, it was a little discouraging because he would prep all the way back to like raw leather instead of
Mhm.
just taking the finishing off and scrape everything up. I was like, man, that's gonna take way too much work and too much time. And then I learned I didn't have to do that. But yeah, I used to watch him, and then not gonna lie, I was also a little disappointed like when he just kind of disappeared. He
Yeah,
started his like
bro.
little art gallery of, I think it was like think something, think tank or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but and then he just kind of disappeared. So I was like, oh man. But yeah, that's funny. I have you're the only person so far that has brought that up or brought that person up. So I thought that was interesting.
I used to, yeah, bro. He was because that's when you couldn't really find Angelus. They didn't have their site, so I think the site was called Turtle Feathers, like
Yeah, that was
turtlefeathers.net or something. That's what I used to try to get my Angelus paint from. But yeah, he was the source of everything, man. So shout out to the homie Jacob Patterson, man.
yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. um, so you talked a little bit about like what got you into or inspired you to paint on shoes, but why why shoes versus any other canvas, right? Like you could have
Mhm.
went traditional with it and did that or did something completely different, like a skateboard or something like that.
Yeah.
Why shoes?
Shoes. For one, I love sneakers growing up, so like my nickname throughout school was shoes. Because shoes was kind of like my thing. So that was kind of like the start of it. And also I think for me, painting on like a canvas or like paper just got boring because it was flat. There's something about like a shoe, for one, being three-dimensional. I guess it's not just a flat surface that was intriguing to me, but also the fact of I'm taking something that was meant to be something else and turning it into what it is that I want. Whereas like a canvas is blank. That's the whole point of it. Here, take a canvas, go paint it. But it's like a shoe is a finished product, and I'm taking a finished product and putting my own spin on it, I guess.
Yeah. So what would you say is your favorite sneaker to paint on and why?
Probably Jordan 1 high, space panels, has more opportunity to fully flesh out a design with elements and allows it to be designed well to where it can be complex and detailed and not look too simple. Because it's like if you take other shoes, like Air Force Ones are cool, but I'm just not like a low top person. I
Yeah.
got chicken legs, uh, so I don't wear a lot of low tops. Um, so with Jordans, I lost my train of thought. So when you have a shoe that doesn't have a lot of panels, like you usually just cover the entire shoe with one design, and it can kind of look boring because then it's just like either one solid color or you're going to have to figure out a way to break up the color to kind of make the design look good, I guess I can say. With Jordans, they have the panels, and so you can turn each panel to its own design to where it kind of stands out and fits the silhouette of the shoe, and then you can make it more complex or detailed if you want, or you can also simplify it so you just have more of an opportunity to do what you want on that canvas, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, one thing that you do that I find extremely interesting is you find different unique ways to incorporate different things on the shoe, whether it's creating a lace lock or, redesigning the swoosh as a complete whole and incorporating these different things into the shoe. Kind of what inspired that and what made you say, "Hey, I'm gonna just go this route and do this thing or do my own thing here."
I've always been a creative person, so I've always tried to think outside the box. Um, it was just my way of trying to stand out, but also pushing creativity. because I get bored easily. And so I think when it comes to like shoes, especially, it's like once I get bored, I try to figure out a new way to try to push my creativity. And so that was kind of like my way, like I was saying, to stand out from everybody else because nobody was really doing that kind of stuff. You know, you might have a couple people here and there, maybe change the tongue tag or do something with the swoosh, but it wasn't as consistent as you see it today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, what is and who is Kylo 47?
Yeah, Kilo. It
Kilo,
was
sorry.
just no, you good, brother. It's just it was my way of being able to create original art on shoes. And so I just kind of come up with short stories. I mean, because I like creating stories, but writing fleshed out stories is its own art form that it's not something that I'm really into. I'm more so want to create the artwork. And so Kilo was kind of like my way of being able to customize shoes, but with original characters and original art and original story. Just because, like I said, for me, I got bored and I got tired of just constantly painting Goku and Naruto and other people's IPs because it allows you to be creative, but then the creativity is also limited and it can kind of put you in a box because the groundwork is already there for you. You know, when you create your own character, your own story, you have to kind of go into other design elements and different things to flesh it out, you know, whether it's character design, shape language and things like that, which then will in turn help your overall artwork because you're improving in different categories of fundamentals, I guess you can say. So yeah, Kilo is just like my way of being able to customize shoes, but with my own original art and characters.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's important for your pieces to be able to tell a story?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, I didn't want to just be a customizer. Like I said, I wanted to set myself apart. So being able to tell a story, especially in specific times when I wanted people to view my stuff more so on the artwork side as opposed to just a custom, being able to tell the story, I felt would further push people to see it and view it as art as opposed to just a custom sneaker.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say is your style?
Um, Probably more so to the manga anime ish type. You know, comics is cool, but I like the power scaling or the over exaggerated facial features or emotions that manga or anime depict more so than like Western style comics, I guess.
I like it. Where did the name Color Me Fresh come from?
Honestly, bro, I was just driving in the car one day and it hit me, and I don't know if it was color me bad or what, but it just kind of, I was just in the car and I thought of it and I was like, I like that. And so I just ran with it.
Okay. All right. I was curious on that one because like a lot of your pieces are really, really vibrant and like
Hmm.
full of color. So I was wondering if there was some tie um in there or not, and just kind of looking through different pieces and that kind of stuff. So
I guess you can say that. I've always liked color, but at the same time, I've also tried to figure out a way to tone down the color to also make my shoes be designed well. So I guess it goes hand in hand.
yeah. What would you say has been your biggest lesson you've learned on your journey thus far?
Mm. Does it have to be necessarily art related?
No.
Okay, because I watched some of your podcasts and stuff, and I know you ask about like a tip,
Yeah.
and so I guess this could be the tip, or this could be my lesson. Is for me, it was to keep God first, because if you don't, you'll get lost in the sauce. And I think for me, that's just um, something I had to realize, just being the artist and me focusing so much on wanting to be successful or regard or wanting to be the best and to work with athletes and celebrities and for me to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve and being in magazines and TV and all of that stuff. But I was still dealing with depression and anxiety. That's why I don't post as much now just because I'm working on a lot of things behind the scenes. But last year, like the beginning of 2024, I just went cold turkey. Like I just disappeared. And that's because just it got overwhelming, but I got lost in the sauce. And so I'm just a firm believer of if you remove God from your focal point, something else will replace him. And for me, I guess you can say that was my art. And again, I got lost in the sauce, bro. So I think that would be mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you. So, um, I felt, and that this just from an outside perspective, kind of looking in, right? I felt like um, you kind of hit social media hard, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was like this quick, like, boom, like explosion. You know what I'm saying? That happened, and I was good.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
how did you deal with that transition? But I mean, you kind of spoke to some of it just now, but that was one of my questions. How did you
Yeah.
deal with that transition of what may felt like an overnight success or be at high demand in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, in the moment it was fine because that's what I wanted. Like I wanted that. I wanted to be everywhere. I wanted the people to know who Color Me Fresh was. I wanted people to want my work. So I was cool in the moment, but then outside looking in, when you really sit back and reflect, after years of it, you got your son growing up. He needs, my son Julian, people may not know he has autism. So he needs a little bit more extra care than what I was probably giving because focused on art, being married, being a father, I'm sure you could understand. So
Yeah, I got two little ones.
yeah, bro. So it's like when I sat back and I was just reflecting night after night, like the time that I miss, I'm not getting back and I have this success, but I still feel empty. And so it's like, in the moment it was cool and it feels good, but then at the end of the day, just like I said, man, you just felt for me personally, I just felt like it didn't matter. Like cuz I have all, I guess you can say, quote unquote success and people want to be in my position, but I'm still hustling just as much as you to try to make ends meet by me painting full time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
So speak a little to that, like to the business side of this, and as you talked about, like the resilience that has to go into it, and how important it is to have a business mindset to go with the creative mindset.
yes, it's important. You just kind of have to take it serious. I think like most people starting out, people approach custom shoes as like a side hustle, which makes sense. It's hard to be a full-time artist in general, but then when you do full-time custom sneakers, I feel like it's even more difficult because people still have a hard time of separating the shoes from the art. So they usually just see the sneaker first. So it's like somebody sells a $5,000 canvas painting. Most people won't really say anything. But oh, that's expensive. But like, okay, I get it. $5,000 pair of shoes, bro, you're tripping. And so it's just something you just have to take it serious. You have to navigate it. You have to have an understanding of what your end goal is. Like, what's the point of you doing it? Why are you doing it? And I think that will kind of help shape how you approach it. And you also have to understand you may have to pivot or want to pivot as well, because if it took me a while to kind of realize this, but even if you look at the custom scene now, the vast majority of people who started off painting shoes end up doing something else, right? Whether it's them creating their own silhouette, or doing decon recon, and I think it's also because they may not be bored of it, but they also start understanding that the cycle of custom is just kind of like a dog chasing his tail. So you try to find ways to earn passive income, and for some people, it's making their own silhouette. So,
As you mentioned, one of the questions I normally ask: what is one tip that you would give somebody who's jumping into this space or wanting to pursue art?
mm-hmm.
Period. Like as a career or entrepreneur or whatever.
Since I already gave keeping God first one, I would say probably color theory. 100% probably color theory, especially when it comes to sneakers. It's all color. You're changing the color to a different one, and so a lot of people, a lot of even like I guess you can say veteran customizers, but a lot of beginners as well. They don't understand color and how to use it, and so a lot of times the shoes would be too bright or too vibrant, or they'll paint characters and the values would be off. So color theory for sure.
This episode of the Lace My Podcast is brought to you by Davidito Designs. Who is Davidito Designs? What is Davidito Designs, you may say? He is I and I is him. I am a creator, shoe customizer, artist, and also a podcast host. So thank you for tuning in and listening. Check out my website, Davidito Designs. You can copy some merch there. You can support your boy. You can order your custom shoes there. It is DAVIDEDO designs.com. Check out the page. Copy some merch. I greatly appreciate the support. Now, without any further ado, let's get back to the podcast. I know you've been doing this for a couple of years, and this one may be difficult, it may not. Give me your top 5 shoes that you've created.
Oh, bruh. Oh man, it's always hard for me to pick top 5 that I like, but I can easily tell you the shoes that I've hated. That's funny. I'm gonna have to say at least 2 of my kilo pairs. Probably the first ones I made because I started it off, and then maybe the last ones I made just because I just really liked how those came together. Outside, well, I'm not going to nitpick it, but so those 2. Oh man, maybe the Mike Guy pair. Probably the first Gara pair because I think I'm gonna just name ones that I think had significance. I think the first Gara pair is because that was kind of like my first real big transition to me pushing my creativity. Oh man. The 5th one. I'm trying to look. Oh, I don't know, man. There's maybe maybe the Ninja Turtle pair, the Shredder pair that I made for somebody. So yeah, maybe those 5.
Okay. Okay. I like the Ninja Turtle pair too. I like the ones that have the Casey stick on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty dope. I also like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ones.
Okay.
And the twist on those were dope.
See the Fresh Prince thing. See the Fresh Prince ones I like, but I hate because I didn't actually do what I wanted to do. That was one of those projects that I wanted to really focus on, but then time hit, and I was just kind of like, I'll just throw something together since I've already started posting about it. I was thinking of revisiting it and actually fleshing it out how I wanted to, but yeah.
Yeah, those are dope.
Thank you.
Give me something that you're working on that you're excited about.
Well, I'm doing some brand stuff, so I'm excited about that. That probably won't come out till later this year. As far as personal stuff, though, just original work. Just figuring out ways of, promoting it, but also doing other stuff with my shoes, and that's just something I've been working on for the last couple of months, which is why I haven't been really posting. It's just me wanting to do more original work, but figuring out ways to not only tell the story that I of the characters that I'm creating, but giving ways of where other people can also be a part of it. So just doing different things. Maybe it's prints, maybe it's t-shirts. Been doing more designs and t-shirt designs and things like that. So some stuff in the work for sure.
Cool, cool. That'll be exciting, and I'm very very curious to see what you come up with because very creative person. So
Appreciate it, brother.
you said that you hooped, right? What
Mm-hmm.
position did you play?
Shooting guard.
Shooting guard. All right. So give me your top five shooting guards of all time.
Well, me, I would just have to say, Steph is out. I mean, even though he's shooting slash point, Steph's number one. You got to put him there. I mean, I can't shooting guards. Like I can just give you my favorite players, but they all could score. Of course, you're gonna have to say Jordan. My
Okay.
favorite player personally of all time is Allen Iverson.
Okay.
So AI would be number one. Jordan, Curry. I would have to say KD. Number five. I mean, maybe Kobe. I mean, I respect Kobe, but Kobe was never like, you know, my guy. Even though he did what he did for the game, Mamba mentality. Like I respect his game. It was just like for me personally, Kobe wasn't like, for me, but I'll throw Kobe in there for the sake of the conversation, man.
All right. If you had the opportunity to pick the minds of one artist, who would it be? And then dead or alive, regardless of what genre. And then if you had the opportunity to create something for them, what would that be?
See, bro, so the thing with me is like I don't really know artists, man. Like Michael and like you have the old masters, but I think for me, I was never a person to really, and I think that's might be part of the reason why I feel at times like disconnected, just because I kind of just put my head down and just create, but I was never like a person who studied. Like I would study the old masters to try to learn, but it was never like, oh, I really love this person's art.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
it's hard for me to
when
say.
I say artist, I'm painting it with a broad stroke, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it could be fine art, it could be acting, it could be anything, right?
Okay.
In that space, it doesn't necessarily just have to be someone who
So not
maybe
necessarily a
painting on
visual artist.
canvas in the Renaissance era or something like that. No, it could be
Well, probably Michael Jackson.
okay.
Michael Jackson, or maybe like I don't know Prince. I would say Prince, but probably Michael Jackson.
Okay. What would be the thing that you create or make for him?
A pair of shoes, man. A pair. I would reimagine and revisit the Thriller dunks that I made that almost 20 years ago. I would make him a pair of Thriller Jordan ones, brother.
Okay.
With
Hmm.
the whole display, maybe a box, everything to go with it. Yeah, I've always struggled with that question. Like, as far as visual artists, like I don't know. Like I pick what I like from somebody, and then I just pick. But it's like it was never like one person that I was just like fascinated by.
Yeah, I've always so I went to well my undergrad I did art, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that was one of my struggles was the struggle of traditional art versus the stuff that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want to paint on canvases and like that kind of stuff. Like I was like, let me get a pair of shoes or a skateboard or something like that. And I didn't want to be in there sitting painting still life, arrangements of vases and fruit and all that stuff. Like I was like, I want to do something different, but
Mm-hmm.
so that's always been an internal like struggle and stuff for me in that space. I mean, I have a very, very little knowledge on it, but yeah, I still wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm Picasso is the one that I'm like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm
yeah. I mean, I have an appreciation for their stuff, but it was never like, yeah, this is the goat. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's dope. Next, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird.
Nah. Nah, I don't think that makes you weird. So again, thank you for being on. Where can people follow you at? Find your work, all those wonderful things you said. You got new stuff coming out. Do you have a website coming? Any of those things?
Just follow me on Instagram at Color Me Fresh. YouTube channel is Color Me Fresh, even though I haven't posted on there, I think like 2 years. I've been thinking about getting back into it though. It's just time, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough time in the world to try to juggle everything. TikTok, I'm not really active on. So yeah, just mainly Instagram and YouTube. Color Me Fresh, COLORMEFRESH. Website, seemefresh.com, but everybody can just contact me usually through email or through Instagram.
Okay, dope. Give me one thing that you would like for someone to take away from you, if whether it's a word of encouragement, a way to stay focused, overcome an obstacle, whatever it is. Give me one message from you that you would like people to know.
It's something that I'm still, even to this day, I struggle with, but it's listening to your body or listening to, I guess, how you feel or your emotions. A lot of people will tell you, oh, you got to sit down and practice for 20 hours out of the day, and you need to paint every day and practice all the time. I feel like consistency is more important than you making yourself do something when you don't want to. That's the quickest way for it to feel like work, and that's the quickest way for you to get burnt out and quit. Treat art like you would any other relationship. Happily married man, but I'd be lying to you if I tell you I want to be around my wife 24/7. I mean, I think it's healthy for you to get away. You got your own little vice, whether that's gaming, reading a book, going to watch a movie, whatever it is. You take time away from your spouse, just like you take time away from your kids to decompress and figure out what it is you want to do and just give yourself a break. I think art's the same way. When you get tired of painting, when you get tired of drawing, go read a book, go watch a movie, play a game, and those types of things will also keep you creative because you're absorbing other people's creativity. So,
Dope. I appreciate it, man.
yes,
Thanks for being
sir.
on again, sir.
No problem. Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Lace 'em Up Podcast. I greatly appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, remember to do so. Please subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, share, hit the notification button so you know when the next episode comes. We'll see you next Thursday, right? All right. So, if you have any comments, you have questions you want to ask, different artists that you would like to see on the podcast to hear their story, their background, leave all that information down in the comment section and we'll try to get them on. Blow them up, DM them, tell them they need to be on the Lace 'em Up podcast. We want to hear more about their story. All right? Help me. Help me make those connections. He said, help me. No. All right? A little bit of Kevin Hart for y'all. Anyways, until next time, remember, fear is fake. Creating is problem solving. Peace.
Listen, it takes wisdom to grab these sneakers and spin them. Cut a couple of linen and match them up with the denim call. Davidito, he'll cook it up like a kilo. And have your Air1s appropriate with the stilo. He's no Lilo, but he's mean with the stitch.